koutou, and welcome to South Pacific Muscle. Today, we're going to have a bit of a session on a few questions that people sent in and give our unbiased opinions. They're going to be shockers of opinions, I would imagine.
Unfiltered opinions.
Uncensored and unfiltered. Okay, so we're going to give our opinions. So joining us today, we've got the lovely Ange Wilkinson. Welcome on board again, Ange.
Hi guys, thanks for having me back again.
Well, we thought like a female opinion on some of these things could be quite good. And look, with Tom Shaw not being available, I had to kind of make up for 130 something kilos of body weight. So I thought if I got you and Rocco together, well, that's kind of 130. So, and cool. we've got Rocco from Gore. So we've got a bit of input from the younger generation, because I know our good friend Andrew Murray has asked some questions about the generation. So we thought we'd better at least, try and have a balanced scorecard, I suppose. So Rocco, welcome on board. Good to have you, man.
Yeah, great to be back. Thank you.
Awesome, man. How's things been down there anyway?
Oh, not too bad. Just Southland weather.
Southland weather. Fuck. So
yeah.
You're not sporting the suntan or anything?
No, not today. I tried to the other day, but
no good. Hey, I like the NABBA Southland poster in the background too.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. And Antony Morris, everyone knows Antony. So welcome on board, Antony.
Cheers, bro. Thanks for having me back on, eh?
Hey, man.
It's been a while.
Yeah. How's the off season treating you?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's same old, really, but I'm not really pushing much at the moment. Just sort of maintaining phase, to be honest. Yeah, just chugging along, brick by brick, day by day. Trying to take a few more rest days. I'm probably only training like 4 or 5 days a week.
Yep. But
yeah, I got a few. Yeah, life's starting to kick in a lot, so I've got a few other ventures I'm going to be going down. I don't know if I told you, but I take over my the radiator shop 1st April, so I'm officially going to be I'll be owner and business director and whatnot. So
wow,
I do stuff like that, bro.
Congratulations, bro. Really good to see someone who's so focused on their bodybuilding actually succeeding in their ventures outside. So owning your own business can be fantastic. And I guess must be a few radiators going in this weather, bro.
Oh yeah, I mean, because we do all the big stuff too, man. So I'm always doing all like the big truck stuff and earth moving, and we do all right from little car stuff right to like big bulk haulers. So it's definitely starting to pick up, but yeah, the weather makes a big difference.
Betcha. Right. So I'm gonna once again, maybe I'm getting used to it, Mike, but I'm throwing my OCD out the window, my control freak tendencies, and handing over to you.
Yeah, don't get too comfortable. This isn't really my preferred position either. But I thought this evening, as I'm a high school teacher and obviously a respected member of the community, I should keep a few of my sketchier opinions to myself. So I'll be asking the questions and moderating, as opposed to sort of letting you into the deep, dark, dim recesses of my mind. So let's kick off. And I'm actually going to, Nate wanted to control everything, but I'm going to start this one with Ange because it's right up here early. We've just been having a discussion about this. So if you had to go get all your supplements and all your PEDs for free for the rest of your life, you had to go vegan, or you're allowed to eat meat, but you've got to stay natty for the rest of your life.
Oh, God. I can't do the vegan. I just can't do it. But all the supplements and all the things kind of like, it would just, but all the meat though. Oh. I gotta go for the meat.
They say that vegetarians live 8 years longer than people who eat meat, but it's
I don't want to live forever. I just want to be
years.
strong. I just want to beast everyone.
Yeah.
I just want to beast everyone. That's my goal.
How about you, Rocco? What's your call, mate? You going vegan?
Oh, I'd have to go for the meat. There's never been a Mr. Olympia that was vegan. So
Skinny ain't it? Seriously.
Yeah.
There's never been a Mr. Olympia without PEDs either.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But go back to that 8 years thing. Well, you're not really going to live that extra 8 years if you're on PEDs anyway.
No one's going to live that long, let's be honest.
Yeah.
No one.
Fuck it.
I don't want to live those miserable baconless years, eh?
We're just gonna eat meat and lift shit.
What about you, Ants?
Well, I'm natty now anyway, so I'll just take the meat, bro.
Yeah, we're not talking about now. I mean, for the rest of your life. Natty
I don't know.
meat?
Yeah, I'll definitely take the meat because I can't eat that vegan crap anyway. Like, no offense, but I can't eat that stuff, bro. And you're not even getting a full amino acid profile. Come on, man.
100% like that.
How about you, Nate? We go.
Well, I had a bit of think about this, Mike, and I reckon that some of the substitutes now, like the corn and that sort of stuff, it actually tastes fucking good, man. So, like, you know, I'm thinking all the free supplements, you could get your amino acid profile by supplementing it. So, fuck that. I'm not gonna, because I couldn't bear. Look, if I was natty, I could keep that to myself and I'd train away and it'd be all right. But if I was a vegan, I'd have to tell everyone about it. So, you know, I guess the only worst combination for me would be being a natty vegan, because then you'd have to.
Oh, no, then you're just a loser.
Fuck, you might as well like give up, man.
Oh, look, no, I've been like everyone, you know, started as a natty. I had been on and done my thing and did a bit of bodybuilding and the rest of it, and then went back to being a natty. And although it was mentally hard, like, I really enjoyed it. You know, I really enjoyed training for my slightly modified goals as a natty. You know, there's some shit that you know, when you're an enhanced athlete, you do that you actually just fucking end up hating anyway. So put that shit aside and eating fucking nice T-bone steaks and ribeyes and, you know, anything that once moved and breathed and all the rest of it. I think, like everyone, I'll stick with the meat, man.
Yeah.
No offense to vegans, you were going to go. Yeah, when I thought you were going to go.
Every vegan's going to hate our gutses.
Oh.
When I thought you were going to go vegan, I was like, man, he does love PEDs. All right, let's roll around to Rocco. Quick and easy. Now, you'll be able to help me with this, Nate. I can't pronounce drug. Ask this question. Do you know who that? Like, I'm going to spell it for you. And you can see I'm getting old too, my eyesight. DHRUVBHAGAT. Anyway, he or she commented and asked, how many eggs have you eaten in one sitting?
Ooh.
What do you got, Rocco? What's your record?
Definitely a dozen. Say pushing upper limits, 15.
You have, or you could?
Yeah, no, I have.
Have eaten 15 in one sitting?
I'm definitely eating 15.
God.
So he said, how many have you eaten in once, bro?
Yeah, we're talking about one. You have done in one go.
Yeah, definitely. Shakes.
You put 15 eggs in a shake and drink it. Man, you are Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Rocky. Lockdown did some crazy things.
What about you, Ants? Big egg man or
I've
not?
done like 10 boiled for one meal once, I think.
Yep.
Screw boiled.
I do.
I don't know. It wasn't too bad at the time I was on. It was years ago for one of my first shows. My coach at the time had put me on like one meal was like 8. I think it was 10 whole eggs boiled. Like,
so every day you had 10 whole eggs boiled?
Yeah. For one meal, it was like meal 3. What's
meal
that?
10 whole eggs boiled.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Fucking scratching my head. I do remember one prep eating 52 egg whites in a day. And I was thinking, fuck, that's, you know, one for each week of the year. But in one sitting, I honestly probably could only say that I would have done 8 tops. I had a flatmate that used to boil eggs, and he'd have them in a big pot next to him he'd leave them by the side of the couch and fucking peel them up and eat them. And he'd just do it throughout the day. And fuck, he got food poisoning so many times from leaving these fucking eggs sitting around, and he'd kind of pick away at them. But no, I've only really done about probably 8, and totally not a fan of raw eggs, you know, and raw egg whites. Not my thing.
Bind biotin or something? One of the B vitamins?
Makes your fucking ass stink, that's for sure, you know. Fucking.
You know how egg whites are actually pasteurized. You can drink them, but they still mess your gut up, eh?
I've only really used the pasteurized egg whites a handful of times. I remember way back in the day separating out eggs and putting them in a shake and trying to drink that. And to me, that's just, you just got a shaker full of fucking Campylobacter or,
salmonella.
Salmonella, yeah.
What about you, Ange? Big on the eggs?
Oh, well, I have had a show. I have done a few bodybuilding shows actually. And a nutritionist did for me a breakfast that was 8 egg whites boiled, a cup of pumpkin, and a few peaches on the top. That was fucking disgusting.
Was it?
Yeah.
I haven't done a ton of eggs at a time. I mean, at the moment, I make a 10 egg omelette for dinner, but I split it with the wife. She gets 4 and I get 6. But I'll put egg whites into lots of things. I get these packets now from Countdown that are like a litre of egg whites. They're the equivalent of, I think, 42 egg whites. So I don't have to
the Z Gold ones.
Throw them away. Yeah, they're
good. Those are the only ones.
Yeah.
This is what boggles on mine too. Those are the only egg whites you can get in New Zealand. Why has someone else bought a fucking made another company?
That's so true.
There's like 30 companies in the States that do that.
Yeah, they do like flavoured friggin' egg whites and everything.
Yeah.
It always looks crunchy too.
So I'm chucking
Craig
those
sponsored
in
by
my
that
porridge
egg
in the
white
morning.
company.
Hey, does anyone else's, like when you used to do that, did anyone else's mum or the family used to go, don't throw out the yolks, it's such a waste, we can make chocolate cakes? And I'm like, chocolate cakes?
No, I never had that.
Those, don't you? It's just you make custard with those, you can't eat the custard. That's the problem. Back in the day, I used to, when I had to eat a lot of egg whites, I used to do real low fat back in the 90s, because that's what you did. But I was trying to make, I'd get egg whites, I'd get half a dozen egg whites, and I'd put some creamer in and whip it through, and then microwave it, and then whip it through some more, microwave it, put some salt and pepper on top. It's kind of a savoury. And then I'd do one with banana, and the flavour of banana would go through all the egg white. It was like a sweet dessert thing. But just to get egg whites, because I don't taste of anything. When
Was that in
porridge in the morning? Yeah, not off season. Like even now though, I'll chuck the Z Gold ones in my oats. I'll have a scoop of protein powder, 150 grams of egg whites and a banana in my oats. You just don't even taste them. So just mix it up.
I sometimes add them to because late in the morning I've been doing a cup of oats, banana, 30 grams of peanut butter, 2 scoops of isolate. Some days I might chuck a little bit more because I know 245 mils, one serving of those egg whites is like 30 grams of protein or something like that. So I either do like 1 scoop of whey or just do just the whey. I'll do 1 scoop in the egg whites, but not all the time, but just sometimes.
When I was getting into the last prep, I'd start out with omelette in the evening with 6 eggs or whatever, and then over the course of the prep, I'd cut out the yolks and just add more white in to kind of keep the protein the same, but just slowly cut the fats down a little bit. I'd still stay with sort of 2 yolks by the end, but
Pavlova sounds like a way better option with the egg whites, bro.
You can make that with stevia. Can you make Pavlova with stevia?
Don't know.
Righto, let's move around. We've got a few questions from Andrew Murray, so thanks for the questions, Andrew. Let's. I've got Mike's input on this, so sorry, I've got to look down at my questions. Currently, with the inclusion of WNBFNZ, there are 7 federations in New Zealand. Is this too many? Do we really have enough athletes to support this? And I'll throw in Mike Kingsnorth's comment with seems to think that WNBFNZ doesn't have enough letters in their name to be taken seriously. So why don't we start with you, Ants? 7 federations. Are there enough athletes to go around? What's your take on that?
Nah, definitely not. How can there be 7 federations though? Well, there's IFBB, NABBA. Would you include WFF and NABBA the same?
Separate feds.
Separate. So that's what 3. Then you got WBFF.
Yep.
ICN.
4. ICN 5.
INBA. INBA.
Oh yeah. Forgot about the natty ones too.
You've also got
that's 6. So yeah, there's 7 with that new one in there.
And IFBB Elite, the separate IFBB Elite Pro or whatever it is.
They're not in New Zealand yet though. Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. So
that's right.
That's possibly 8 federations, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's way too many. Like it's good to have a lot of federations, but I mean, obviously you got to have the ones for the people that want to stay like natural and don't want to go on their heart's road. But I mean, why do you think shows are getting so much smaller too? I mean, a lot of obviously the female side of the WBFF, a lot of chicks were moved over to them when they came into New Zealand too. So I mean, it's good, but yeah, New Zealand's probably too small for that many federations. But I mean, you got to cater to everyone's needs, I guess. So,
do you think most athletes are doing multiple shows in a year, week after week after week, or most of the athletes are kind of going, right, I'm going to do my qualifying show and then I'm going to hit nationals?
I think they're doing one qualifier, then doing a national show. I mean, at least. To be honest, I think it's actually good to do a few more shows if you're really starting to hit your stride, especially if you want to get your name out there. I mean, 2019, that's what helped me a lot. I did like 5 shows back to back in 2019, and that's what sort of put me on the map for the front runner for nationals. But I mean, definitely, if you just get into it, maybe one regional then nationals, I'd say would be better. But I think most people only do one and then nationals.
I've always found that when I thought, all right, I'm going to get in shape by this time, and I think, yep, I'm in shape. 3 or 4 weeks later, if I'm still prepping for something else, I do look better. Even though my measurements haven't changed much, I've sort of just hardened, sharpened up a little bit more. So I can never plan to do 4 extra weeks of dieting, but if it ever happens that way, I always look sharper 4 weeks later. What about you, Nate? How about the federations thing?
I'm I guess putting my business hat on, and it's a free market. More competition means a higher quality of shows, because federations have to lift their game to attract the athletes. I think it's probably a bit of a natural process in New Zealand. I mean, as Ange points out, there's not that many competitors. We're a pretty small market. So I think eventually some of those federations that don't compete well enough to attract their athletes, they will either fade away or just hold one show a year or whatever it might be. But I know a lot of the young guys getting into it that I've spoken to are quite happy to fed hop. So they'll go, I said, what show are you doing? Oh, I'm doing, and half the time they don't even know the federation. So they'll say, oh, I'm doing the show in July. And I'm like, where? And they'll say, oh, in Napier. And I'm like, oh, what federation? And they'll say, oh, I think IFBB. And I went, no, it's only a NABBA show. And I was like, oh, no, it's NABBA. And I'm like, okay. And then they'd say, but I'm going to do the ICN show because it's at the same time. So I think, like you say, with some athletes, it's just about when the opportunity is to get on stage. So more shows, more opportunities. But I think it'll be a bit of a process where those that can attract the athletes and hold the athletes will prosper. Others will fall away because it's an expense to run a show. It costs money to run a federation. So I guess, like any business, if it's not profitable or not being supported, it'll drop off the face of New Zealand in this case.
Yeah.
Ange, do you want to give us a powerlifting perspective? How many federations are there in powerlifting, and do you think that's justified?
I at the moment, I'm kind of got the feeling that just the landscape is actually changing a little bit in powerlifting. It's small like bodybuilding, and we've got, obviously GPC, but they're just changing the way that they're running it at the moment, whereas they're not doing any regional meets. Like, they're just endorsing other meets that around the country that you can get a qualifying total for nationals this year, which is really different to every other year. So there's no like Auckland champs at all this year, or Wellington champs. There's other meets that you can qualify for nationals that GPC will run. And then there's the IPL, which is they've got their standard meets that they run every year, and they have both tested and untested. And then there's the World Powerlifting Federation, which is tested, and it's very similar to the IPF or NZPF. And I think it's an okay balance, but for the amount of lifters that New Zealand has, and the amount of coaches that we have to coach people to be able to fill the meets, is pretty hard. Like, you've got to actually have people that are looking after people, same with bodybuilding, to fill competitions. And we need time for programming. It's not like if you have a meet every week, it makes it a headache for me to try and get someone ready for more than one meet when they're ready, because they need some recovery time and all of that kind of stuff. So I feel the landscape's changing a lot at the moment, is my vibe.
I found it really interesting talking to Jackson Hinch the other week, and I'm pretty excited to go and watch the meet that he's going to put on in Christchurch, and wondering how that's going to be perceived by the sort of wider powerlifting.
Yeah, well, that's part of
powers that
it.
be.
Like me and Kate in that meet, the Invitational, and that's part of the landscape is the Wolfpack. And I'm really excited. Like that's my one meet this year to do. I'm not bothering with GPC Nationals this particular year. I'm just going to put all my energy into doing that meet. It's a nice time frame, which is July. I like Jackson Hinch. I think he's a fantastic, knowledgeable person, and I think he's going to put on a bloody good event.
Hey, and just a quick question for you: is the like the Wolfpack Invitational meet, so it's a non-sanctioned meet, and I saw another non-sanctioned meet pop up. Is that kind of stemmed from following in Australia's footsteps, where they had like the Pro Raw and all those kind of things? That was sort of a bit of an open invitational.
Yeah, so it is. It's an invitational. Like New Zealand, we had the NZ Open that was run by my coach Nick Prendergast, and so he gave the green light over to Jackson Hinch to have a crack at running his version. So we've called it the Wolfpack Invitational. We really are trying to bring up our Kiwi game to try and be as good, to put on as good shows, good events as the Australians, being that we can't travel at the moment because of COVID as well. Not everyone wants, you have your novice meets. It's not really motivational for everyone to do novice meets. And in the same light, I don't want to really max load the crap out of my system at a novice meet if I don't have to. And I won't. I would just, do some happy numbers and move along sort of thing. So it's motivational to have a meet that's got a higher standard, so that you have to actually put a lot of work and a lot of effort into it. Usually the NZ Open was, which is now the Wolfpack, would you'd earn your invitation to Pro Raw and Aussie, and that is the strongest meet in the world in most people's opinion.
So Rocco, what do you know about federations? What's your opinion?
Well, I think that the best will always be in the IFBB. It's just the way it is. And some of those little organizations are really good for helping get local kids out there, local guys that have been in the gym for a while, but it's just getting into competing. So stuff like that, but they'll probably fade away, to be honest.
So you felt like NABBA was a good intro for you, but if you want to run with the big dogs, you got to go NZIFBB. Yeah. We've talked about, Nate and I have talked about this on the show. I like when a federation has a clear look that they want from different classes, and everybody knows that. And if you want to create that look because that's what you like, then you go to that class and that federation. Like NABBA Figure has got a really clear look that has been pretty consistent over time. So if they keep looking for that look and keep judging on that look, then athletes who want to create that look and like looking like that will go to that federation. So I think that's probably, I guess, a suggestion for each of the federations to have clear, defined look for each of their classes that's consistent over time if possible, so athletes know how to come in.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and the next question we've got is from Ange Wilkes _ Valkyrie.
Oh God! Who is that person? Who
ask the
is
question,
that?
Ange?
Who is that?
Do you want to ask that question, Ange?
I kind of do.
look us in the eye and ask the question.
So I've always had this, I guess, fascination,
obsession,
curiosity, maybe. What do you do when you're on stage, maybe mid-routine, and you're showing off your goods, and you got a semi? What do you do?
Now I'm gonna start with Rocco, because he's at his age, he's probably got it popping up left, right, and centre.
Oh, well, that hasn't happened to me, but if it did, I'd look to my left and to my right, and hopefully they'd fix the situation. Otherwise, I probably deserve the embarrassment.
Well, it depends how embarrassing it is. It might not be that embarrassing. Might make a few more fans, a few more followers on Instagram. Asking for the fans only page.
Yeah, I know another Rocco that's in that industry.
Gold, bro. Love it.
What about you, Ants?
Too many anti-estrogens, bro. It wouldn't even happen.
Yeah.
Nah, definitely. That's the last thing that would be even, 1 inch of happening. There's no way. No way.
That was kind of my first thought too. Is,
Unless
like,
some dude,
so
like,
dehydrated.
unless someone took like Cialis or Viagra to like get more of a pump backstage. But even then, I wouldn't risk it.
I had heard that there was a thing, but I didn't think I'd risk it either.
Yeah, I wouldn't risk that shit, bro.
Yeah,
So
man.
We'll throw Mike straight in there. What happens when you get a semi in your posing trunks on stage, Mike?
Well, it doesn't happen for us because in the bodybuilding world, we're with other ugly guys, so we don't look at it. The board shorts boys, they struggle because they have to look at each other, and there's some pretty looking fellas up there. I mean, let's be honest. If I was standing next to Jeremy Tavaga, I'd turn gay for that guy. So, I mean, picture. Imagine standing on stage looking at Nate.
Yeah,
There's no chance. It's going to shrink away into my freaking heart. Yeah. Otherwise, lots of tape. It's all wax. That doesn't hurt coming off.
What about you, Nate? Got anything to add?
How the fuck do I follow that answer? Look, I can't imagine it. Look, I've managed to fucking dust one up the night before a competition, and that was fucking hard work. But with Ance's call, not an on stage thing, but I took a leaf out of some of the UK boys' book and started running a bit of fucking low dose Viagra before training, and it was fucking interesting. The best part about it was I had to go into the pharmacy, and the woman was interviewing me, asking about my erectile dysfunction, and I'm kind of thinking my dick works pretty fucking well. And I said, look, I'll tell you whatever you want to fucking hear, but I actually use it off label to train. And she said, oh, well, I don't know if we can give it to you. And I said, okay, my dick doesn't work. So, I've used it a fair bit for training, only sort of, a fraction of a dose. But sometimes, if you go for a piss before training, you think, oh, fucking hell, I'm in trouble here. But on stage, I don't think to be honest, I don't even think I'd be able to if I tried. But if I did, it'd be a fucking full routine of twisting back bicep poses and lat spreads from the rear. Unless you turned around and gave it the fucking,
The full Monty.
Yeah.
I reckon once you get pumped up, most of the blood's going elsewhere anyway, right? Well, same sort of thing with training. Once you start training legs, there's too much blood going into the quads to have any spare for anything else.
Wow. You never know, if you had a really high red blood cell count, maybe. Who knows?
Let's face it, it's
so-
not going to happen. It's not going to happen any more than somebody playing a test match or climbing a mountain or anything like that, Just doesn't happen. Maybe if you're a horse rider or, rubbing it, Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
You don't think down in the bottom of that ruck every now and then, Mike,
I was a winger, mate.
Oh, you kicked out of that. But I think the more common one, Ange, is definitely, and I think Andrew pointed out, he said the nip slip, the on-stage nip slip when the old bikini bite decides it's going to fall out and then something hangs out the side. That one is pretty common, so put it back to you. How do you deal with the old nip slippage?
You mean silicon slippage?
Most of the natural girls have dieted them all away, haven't they?
Yeah, that's the thing, eh?
Fuck, I'd pay to see someone fucking drop a chicken fillet out on stage. That's a job.
I was doing the judging for a NABBA show, and I was doing the weigh-ins, and this woman who's, she was, I suppose, late 40s or so, but she was obviously getting ready for competition, so she was pretty well built. She comes out the back, and she didn't even have to weigh in. She wanted to weigh in for her own records, for her own interest, and just whips everything off except her undies. She's got these massive fake cans. It's probably a little bit gratuitous. You're weighing in for your own interest, and you get naked. Weigh in.
Good looking guy like you weighing in, Mike.
Oh, look, I wasn't arguing. It's like, sure. I'm looking for her to come back every show. Come on back.
Give her an LCM bar. Your blood glucose is low.
Righto. So we had another question from Andrew Murray, who's wants to, I guess, get a little bit of comment from us all, but it's good that we've got Rocco here about the focus of, it seems like the focus of Gen Z, which is the sort of your generation, the latest one, Rocco, is way more on PEDs than it is on training and diet. Is that, I guess, your experience, Rocco, or the people around you? I mean, what's your impression? Is it really social media hype, or is it the reality of things?
Well, I live in Gore, so not much happens down here. But yeah, definitely. I can't imagine that it was this much of an issue probably in the 90s and early 2000s, because everyone just turns to PEDs and looks at that as the answer. And whenever someone probably looks good in the gym, it happens down here even, people just assume PEDs either way.
How about you, Mike?
Don't tell me, Rocco, don't tell me that those country musicians in Gore are not jacked and stacked. Come on. They're thinning out the back between sets, aren't they?
Oh, they might explain. They might explain.
Well, they got a guitar to hide it, and the poor bastards on the harmonica are like, you know. Oh goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to a few podcasts, and they bemoan the fact that most of the questions they get asked on the Q&As are around PEDs, and not too many people are asking training questions or diet questions anymore. And
I think it's just the way bodybuilding's going. I think it's the way the fitness industry in general is going.
No, I haven't got a lot of time for Lee Priest, but he did say, he said, you know, you wouldn't think that you could just get the right drug cycle or practice routine or whatever, you could become LeBron James, right? But yet they think that if I just get the magic stack, if I just get the right, you know, right compounds, I can be Ronnie Coleman. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into that, and I guess, I don't know, somebody's promoting that or kind of encouraging that or keeping that rolling, because it seems.
But Mike, do they want to be Ronnie Coleman, or do they want to be their version of Ronnie Coleman, the best that they can be? Is that what they're looking for as well? I mean, to be blunt, I couldn't give a shit about looking like Ronnie Coleman. It's like, you know, not my cup of tea, but you know, I want to be the best I can be, if anything. So,
but I guess they're thinking that PEDs could get you to be Ronnie Coleman. If I choose not to go that far, but most people, no matter what they take, are not going to look like Ronnie Coleman, whereas they think it's just getting the right stack rather than awesome, phenomenal genetics that we'll probably never see again, hard training, diet, you know, all that stuff that kind of came first, right? They think it's just get the right cycle and I'll be there. So
yeah, that's definitely a Gen Z mindset.
Yeah.
I'm going to come into bat for Gen Z, because I think
fuck 'em.
I think a lot of it. I mean, there's probably a fair bit more awareness of PEDs and things, and information and misinformation on the internet, and there's a lot more commentary around it, so we see it a lot more. There's also a shit ton more people in our sport than there was back when we first started. So I think a bit of it's the fact that we hear about it more, but I also think a bit of it is just us old bastards looking down, being fucking critical of Generation Z.
Back in my day.
Well, I think it's more just social media, man. Social media is just blowing everything out of proportion, and now there's so many so many roads people can take to compete in this division, compete in this federation, do this, do that. I want to look like him, I want to look like her, blah blah. They all want to be on drugs. They think drugs is the answer, when, like we just said, it's not just drugs, it's genetics. But then it's not just genetics; it's also upstairs. How far do you want to go? How much do you want to push it? You know. People don't realize it's not just what you're born with, it's also what you have upstairs as well. Some people don't have the mental capacity to diet, to train hard, to friggin', you know, push themselves to that upper edge, you know?
Yeah.
They don't think that. They just want to go to Instagram.
You know, tell them what we're like, but nobody will believe you. But you point out the number of guys who've won at an extremely high level clean. I mean, Daniel Hibbs, the guy eats organic chicken for fuck's sakes. He doesn't take supplements. It's like he's won 2-time, and it could have been 4-time Mr. New Zealand overall, beating, you know, NABBA Mr. Universe winners and IFBB pros in the process, you know. So there's plenty of stories of guys like that who've turned up. I mean, some of these guys that, you know, we see some boys walk in the gym and they're born with 18-inch arms, you know. It's like
exactly.
the guy that works harder is always going to beat the guy that takes the lazy approach.
Yeah,
you know?
I think like I took a photo in the gym the other day of a crew that was training in the gym, and I posted it on the Instagram page because it was cool, man. It was like 6 of them training together, and they're all natties. And then I kind of had a bit of a think about it, and I thought about in my gym, there realistically is only 3 or 4 guys that are actually using PEDs to any real extent, and those guys are well and truly into their 30s and beyond. So, you know, there's a bunch of young guys out there that are training as natties that don't have any intention of jumping onto the PEDs. But I think the social media, you get the trolls asking some of those questions. You get young guys that are interested in that thing, you know, kind of thing, asking those questions. So there's an assumption that there's a greater amount of guys that age that are doing it. However, that said, there's also greater pressure on guys to look a certain way and girls to look a certain way. And if we take something like cosmetic surgery, which is again about image enhancement, if you look at how many people get fucking their lips filled and their boobs done and fucking this tucked and that tucked, you know, there's a hell of a lot more nowadays than there was back when we started, you know, when, you know, a set of tits cost you fucking, you know, 20 grand or whatever, and you had to go overseas to get a decent pair that were over 500 cc's. But, you know, like all those things now become more common and more socially acceptable. And I think to a certain extent, there's probably a little bit more awareness of PEDs. So the usage is probably a bit higher, but certainly I think it's overinflated in terms of what it really is.
They look at all the...
Go,
mate. All right. You look at all the TRT and like health rejuvenile like clinics or whatever in the States now. You can go in there, walk in, get blood work done, and get like prescription for TRT, for DECA, for anti-estrogens, you know, just like that. You never used to be able to do that, you know. Just that, so like you say, that's just so much more acceptable, and like it's not frowned upon as much anymore as it used to be. Even just the last decade that I've been into bodybuilding, like it's changed so much, eh? Like just in even the last 4 or 5 years. It's crazy.
I had 20 years out and came back 2 years ago, so it's obviously changed a lot since my last show in 1999. But in the 90s, back at the Power Dome where I was training, they had Brian Buchanan came and did a posing seminar and, you know, a bit of a chat. And of course, somebody had to pluck up the courage and go, oh, what about, you know, the use of drugs? And he said, look, if you've got a Ferrari racing against Morris Minor, the Ferrari's going to win. If you put a turbocharger on the Morris Minor, the Ferrari's still going to win. It's when you get 2 Ferraris and they've both got turbochargers, comes down to the driver. And that was his analogy.
That's all genetic based, yeah.
Yeah. But you're dealing with top level athletes who've all got great genetics. So who wants it more? Who's smarter about their training? Who's more disciplined? Sort of gets over the line. I mean, all right, it's not a perfect analogy, but you get the picture. Righto, we're sort of time's ticking on, and Nate told me I had to keep it under an hour so that he can convert it and get it up on YouTube. So I'm going to finish with one. What's the most cringeworthy thing that you've seen at a bodybuilding or powerlifting, in your case, Ange, it's up to you, at a competition? What's the most cringeworthy thing you've seen?
Cringeworthy thing at a show.
People who shouldn't be there, embarrassing things happening.
Girls with tan coloured bikinis or yellow bikinis.
Girls in yellow bikinis.
They just shouldn't wear that. It's not good under light. Not good.
Always get those like muddy stains on. I remember a mate of mine wore bright yellow posing trunks and it looked like he'd shat himself. It was fucking terrible look.
Yeah, and some of those like those light browns, and the girls are on there, and it's like they're posing around, and you're like, you look like you've got no clothes on.
Actually, I've got to say, some of the posing is kind of like borderline. You know, when someone sort of poses and it's almost explicit, and you're kind of going, "Oh my fucking god!" And you know, I think the people I see it most with are older guys. So I've got this thing about going on stage that I'm not going to do any poses that are too risque, because you know, you kind of sit there and sort of cringe at some of the guys do. I don't want to become that guy. So that would be probably my most cringeworthy thing, is watching guys do poses that perhaps look like they should be in a strip club.
Yeah. I've always wanted to see someone mess themselves or power chuck on the platform like you see on Instagram, but I haven't actually physically seen anyone like actually lose their bowel or piss themselves on the platform. So I've always just wanted to see that happen.
You could be first, Ange. You should do it.
I don't want to be the first. I want to see someone else.
Go in there hungover just for that purpose.
Nah.
There was a guy who did a couple of shows down this way, and I can't remember his name, so I'm not going to name him. Older guy, must be 60 plus.
Oh, Mike Tab.
I'm not quite there yet. And this doesn't describe me. Biggest set of nuts. They were like fucking grapefruit, right? And like, so he's there at his posing truck, and everybody just like couldn't help but look. They're hanging like halfway down his thighs, eh? This is like, honestly, it was.
Was he how old? 60 plus.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
That's the skin hanging from his body, like it's skin.
I'd rather not.
I didn't look too closely, but it looked pretty full.
Don't they just fall away from the body like triceps do when you get old? So
Maybe,
then you've got like the skin and then this massive stack.
But of gravity. Gravity.
Yeah.
I'll piss someone off. The most horrific thing I've seen on a bodybuilding stage is the couples class.
It's just dirty, eh?
It's just stupid.
Oh, I've done the couples class.
Me too.
I rest my case.
It was terrifying and traumatic.
Yeah, because you did it with Mike Tab.
I had to get my wife to try and drag me through to get a trophy.
You did it with Mike, didn't you, Nate?
No.
Didn't you guys do it?
Blades of glory.
I actually, true story, I got on the piss after a show once, and Naira hit me up and said, we should do couples. And I went, oh, no. Then I had a few more drinks, and then she hit me up again. I went, oh, yeah, okay. And next minute, she said, turn up, and so I turned up, and she had a choreographer there, and I fucking can dance like Barney the dinosaur, man. I am so uncoordinated. And we had to do dips and twirls, and I was shit scared I was going to fucking miss her and she was going to hit the deck. But
she's freaking good, Naira.
Yeah, it's good.
Naira is amazing. She is the queen, man. Yeah. Freaking love her.
It was good. It was good fun, but I've got some photos, Mike, and I don't think it's that cringy. It was fun. Would I do it again? Not a fucking chance. But yep. What else?
Anybody got any other stories? Any other anecdotes? Anything else?
I think just people that have bad tan and don't diet regardless. They look like they died for fucking 3 days.
Yeah, you feel a bit bad.
While we're on that, you know, every now and then you get someone who's come into a show and they're the personal, the journey story. You know, they've lost 40 kilos or whatever, and they don't look like they should be up on stage. They've probably still got another 20 to lose, or they've got massive hanging skin or whatever. What do you think about those people? Because, I mean, that was their goal, and that caused them to, or helped them get along and make a personal change and improvement. They lost 30, 40 kilos. They're much healthier now, but they just shouldn't be on a bodybuilding stage.
You know, can I answer this? I had a team back about 10 years ago when I was PTing at Harbour Fitness, and there's a guy come in and he wanted to do the journey, you know, and it's IFBB, not IFBJ, you know, and, you know, I had to pull him aside and say, mate, let me be honest with you. You know, at the end of this, you're going to be in the absolute shape of your life, but you're starting 10 weeks out at 30%. You're probably going to get down to, you know, at best 15, probably 18 or 20, I said, and you're going to have every right to feel really proud of how you look. And unfortunately, you're already 10 to 15 weeks behind everyone. And instead, what's going to happen, you're going to stand on stage and you're actually not going to feel proud. You're probably going to feel a little bit, maybe you might, but you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable because you're going to be so far behind everybody, and you're going to be standing there with your family in front of you, and they'll be proud, but you won't feel as proud as you could. let's just put it off for a few more months instead. And that's about the honesty, and he appreciated it. It wasn't a case of embarrassing the guy, because it wasn't a private room when I had the conversation, but it was making sure that he had the opportunity to feel as proud as he possibly could. You know what, if you're at that level, go and get a photo shoot, because it lasts longer than standing on a stage.
Did he follow through on his commitment to kind of lose that weight even without the show?
He lost the weight, became a runner, I think. So, but he didn't do bodybuilding, but that's okay. But he also didn't have a negative experience, and it was just, and that group I had 13 clients, and 12 of them placed, and half of them were in first. So I'd hate to think, it would have been a bad outcome. He would have felt awkward and uncomfortable about it. It would have been like, just not fair on him, because he had the right to feel proud, and he may not.
A lot of PTs try and lock people in over time, and shows are a good way to lock people in. So
yeah.
I've got my most cringeworthy thing, and it's a regular occurrence, but recent show, and it was a fucking good show. So take nothing away from the show. There was a board men's physique class, and they were amateurs, and 4 out of 5 of the guys standing on stage had fucking bitch tits, which for me, and I'm not
men's physique too.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of fucking gyno by any stretch of the imagination. I can kind of tolerate it when a guy's fucking 120 kilos and fucking peeled and freaky as fuck, and he's got a bit of bitch tits. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. He's probably drinking Letro and nothing's happening. But when you're 60 kilos in board shorts and you've got fucking mammary glands, shit ain't good, And it's a terrible look, especially under the lighting. It looks like you got fucking headlights going on. So that's my number one cringeworthy moments, I think, is guys that don't manage your fucking.
So young guys, get some help. Manage your hormone levels.
Some guys get it from puberty, though, eh?
Not 4 out of 5 guys in the class.
yeah. But still, the gynos thing's bad. I've been noticing that a lot lately, especially cutting even to the pros, man. Some of these guys that get sorted. You're a pro bodybuilder. What are you doing? And then the hernias too. I lost so many hernias lately, eh?
Yeah, I've noticed quite a lot of hernias too. Definitely.
They need to get them sorted, man. It's bad. I can know from I had a bad hernia a few years back, but I got it sorted. You need to get it sorted, eh? Get health insurance, get the operation. Best thing you ever done.
I think it makes, financially it's pretty tough nowadays. Like say in New Zealand to get your gyno cut, you're probably looking at maybe 10 grand now, but in the old days there were surgeons, there were GPs actually, so you could go to your doctor, he'd locally fucking local anesthetic and cut it then and there for you with a scalpel, which was fucking horrific, and it would cost you $500. And I remember, I know people that were one of my friends was one of the last people to ever get their gyno done on ACC. ACC actually paid for it. Private health insurance then excluded it. So, if you have got it in New Zealand, it's a very pricey thing. And with COVID now, you can't just jump across the ditch to Thailand, have a holiday and get it whipped out for a couple of $1,000, so that option's off the table. So, a little bit of, sympathy, I guess, given the financial barrier to dealing with stuff like that. But,
yeah, definitely. That's why you get health insurance if you're in this country.
But yeah, also not in every case, but often that's people just not knowing, not understanding, not managing it, not in all cases. Some people just can't deal with it no matter what they do. But look, being clever about what you do, or at least intelligent about what you do, doing your research, getting some good advice, speaking to people who know, and trying to manage that stuff along the way is probably the preferred option, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is that a good time to wrap it up, mate?
Oh, I think it is.
Almost being on an hour.
Yeah. Hey, thanks very much, Ant. Thanks very much, Rocco. And thanks again, Ange, for joining us. And appreciate your time as always. And
Thanks,
people
guys.
out there, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Have a great week of training, and we will catch up with you later on.
All right. Cheers, guys.
See you guys.